guys, Bari here to show you how to put on an Ice Falcon spear tip onto my new Ice Falcon wood grain spear shaft. Oh, it's a little dirty, but it's okay. It'll be dirty at war anyway. Look at that, it's very nice. Quick note about the shaft. Ice Falcon was very kind to actually send me a picture of this weight compared to the red shafts, because I'm very particular about the weight of the shaft, and this is pretty close to the red shafts. This is what I would call a medium weight shaft, which is what I prefer. Light ones, it's hard to get a good telling blow with, although if you're a smaller, weaker person, then maybe you want to use the light ones. I don't like the heavy ones, they're too much fatigue. So I do think that he has improved these tips. At one point I thought the tips were too hard. I think they use a slightly softer foam on the tip. And I have seen this on another friend's spear. So I'm confident for pulling this out. We have this Schedule 40, I think it's 1.25" PVC cap. Here's the spear tip. Okay, some denser foam on the end. Materials real quick. I got some strapping tape, scissors, a tape measure. I have some extra foam, some green tape. My house colors are green and gold. So I've got the green duct tape here. I've got some yellow tape and some green electrical tape here. This is not the cheapest, but it's what I can get at the Home Depot right now. I have a couple of hand saws there, and I'll explain what I need those for later. So first thing we do, okay, this is wobbly, so I have to build up with some tape underneath. That's a pretty good fit. So I use just almost like 2 layers of tape there. I'm taping this directly to the shaft. Ultimately, I'm going to put a lot of tape on the actual tip. It's going to hold everything together. Wrap this just under the cap. I'm going to push the spear tip over. Oops. Having some problems here. Okay. Probably mainly because I put a piece of tape over it, which was not recommended in the instructions, but that's what I did. Okay, so that seems to be about as far as it goes. And I've got a little bit of wobble on the tip. So I make sure the tip's nice and straight. Okay, let me measure this tip real quick. It should be 2 inches. Yep. One of the nice things about these tips is that because they are manufactured, they're all exactly 2 inches, and the tape's going to thicken it up just a bit. When I cut out my own tips, I go a little bit thicker because I'm always afraid that it's going to compress to less than 2 inches. So it's nice to get a good low profile here. Piece of tape about this long, you go halfway. I'm trying not to compress the foam, but I do want to have a piece of tape over the end. And the main thing I want to do is I want to be able to hold this on, but I want to keep it from wobbling or bending in either direction. And I'm going to wrap a good hard piece of tape down the bottom here. And again, I'm using the strapping tape because it's a very strong tape. It's not going to flex on you. Okay, this is not, the instructions actually recommend some epoxy. I'm using strapping tape. It's still a little bit of wobble, not much, but a little bit. So I'm going to do some diagonal pieces. Just going to wrap it nice and tight. So the diagonal pieces I'll wrap tight because I'm not compressing the foam down. there's no wobble in this thing. That's a nice spear tip. I'm gonna prop this up against something hard. Let me go right outside the frame here a little bit. Okay, I got it up against my wall. Okay, this is, I would consider this a good, safe spear tip. Now, having said that, I am very experienced in the spear. I can throw a really hard shot. I fight in melee a lot, and I fight it a lot with my friends. So, hit my friends all the time with this. So, I like to make it a little bit softer, just so I don't punish my friends. Again, this is a safe tip. But if you're a hard hitter, you might want to soften up a bit. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add probably 2 layers of this foam on top of it. I'm going to make it, I'm not going to compress the foam. I'm going to lay this on here. I'm going to do one piece at a time. So that's a very squishy head, you can see that. Now does it fold over? Folds over a bit, so I'm going to stiffen it up a little bit more. The more I stiffen it up, and again, I'm trying to stiff it in the folding area. The more I stiffen it up, though, heavier the tip's going to get, but a heavy tip is not necessarily a bad thing. As I've said, I've had a very light spear before and actually didn't like it because it was too light. Let's see how we are in the end here. I'm going to build up that end a little bit. Again, he's at 2 inches across here, but it starts to taper on the tip, which I'm not liking. So I'm going to wrap some tape around that, just to thick. And this is the first time I've done it this way, so we will find out as this gets used. I mean, it's certainly safe right now. I don't know how it's going to wear over time. So now I've got some colored tape. I've got some colored tape here. I always go with black for the tip. Rules do say you need to have a contrasting tip. Honestly, on the spear, I don't think it's necessary, but it's in the rules, so I'm going to do it. And I always go with black because that's going to be what's pointing at the face. I had a friend that put his group symbol on the tip. It looked really cool, but every time he pointed at my face, it was very obvious that he was aiming at me. So I don't recommend it. I recommend just plain black tip, okay? Now, having said that, I could go with something a little bit less noticeable for the outside. I think green's not too bad. It blends in with the background. I'm going to spice mine up just a bit. Okay, so this tip would be perfectly acceptable. I'm going to spice it up just a bit for 2 reasons. Number 1, I got some yellow electrical tape here. Number 1, it's easy to remember which spear is yours if it's laying on the field somewhere. Number 2, this will blend in with my household colors a little bit, so that'll look kind of cool. Number 3, if you go to a big event like Penzik and you see a horde of 1,000 fighters out there, every now and then your spear tip will show up in a picture and you go, that's my spear tip. I know that we were in that fight, and then you can start looking for yourself and start looking for your friends in the picture. So this, I do different patterns for different spears too. That way I sort of remember which is which. Oh, I forgot to put a tip on this. Okay. So there we go. And then we're going to do 2 more things. I'm going to put something on the back end. I do not recommend a PVC cap because they don't fit in the hands very well. What's going to happen is that when you fight with the spear, you want to have your hand as far back on the shaft as possible. And you don't want the hand to accidentally slide off the back and have this shaft dig right into your hand. So I want something soft in there. But before I do that, remember, I added 2 of these pieces to my spear shaft, which means it's probably longer than 9 feet now. So I'm going to measure it. Okay, building up on the pommel. I'll be honest, I make this up as I go every time. So I'm gonna grab some of this electrical tape, just because I like to have it a little bit of a conical shape on it. I'll wrap a little bit of foam around it. And I will actually compress the hell out of this foam, because I don't want it to be squishy. I want it to be nice and solid on there. I'm really gonna compress this foam down. Put a little thin foam circle on the end here. Okay, so here's my pommel. It's pretty safe. I'll have to fight with this for a while. It's going to wear down, and then I know after probably 500 or so shots on this, I'll reevaluate. If I like the pommel, I might change it. And one last thing is I will put a hook on my spear. For a hook, I usually just take a couple of rectangles of foam and tape it down. You can look at my other video, the end of the other video, for the hook. So this is how you put on an Ice Falcon spear tip. I think I like them.